Namaste. Today I should be saying something like this because we are going to study the Lucknow Gharana, and it's so popular, so well known that we have it in much more detail than you can imagine. Of the 4 Gharanas of Kathak, possibly the one that has captured the imagination of the nation and the whole world is the dance of the Lucknow Gharana, right? This Gharana has been blessed by a pantheon of great practitioners, an interesting historical narrative, and a strong first family that has fascinated the audiences and patrons all over several generations. This Gharana of Kathak dance came into existence mainly in the court of Nawabs of Awadh, especially Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, who ruled in early 19th century. It was in this period that the Lucknow Gharana of Kathak attained maturity through the efforts of Thakur Prasad Maharaj, the court dancer, guru of Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, and subsequently by his nephews Bindadin Maharaj and Kalka Prasad Maharaj. Kalka Prasad's sons Achan Maharaj and Lachu Maharaj and Shambhu Maharaj also contributed to the further development of this Gharana and style. Today the charm, genius and prodigious talent of Achan Maharaj's son Pandit Brij Mohan Mishra, popularly and lovingly known as Birju Maharaj, as the head of the families, carries forward the family tradition. Today in the family itself, daughters and daughter-in-laws are dancing in a break from the age-old tradition of this Gharana. One of the only women dancers were the Tawaif, but from about the 3rd decade of the 20th century. Women from non-professional families have also learned and performed this dance. What hits the eye immediately on seeing the Lucknow style of Kathak is its characteristic graceful movements, elegance, natural poise with dance. Abhinay, a constant concern for movement, the beauty of the body lines, Oran and visual shapes and creative improvisations are the hallmarks of this style. Presently, Birju Maharaj is not just considered the chief representative of this Gharana, but has left his imprint on the global footprint of this form. For a comprehensive reflection of the form, it is advisable to read the books written by, you should all read these books by Rajesh Banerjee, Dr. Sunil Kothari, Reginald Singh Enmasi and Dr. Kapila Vatsyan. It would really benefit you as students to also read Sudhir Kumar Saxena's aesthetic analysis of the Kathak. The main function of this area or this class today is to acquaint you with the specific and defining features of the form, including whatever I have said earlier. The Kathak caste had their traditional home in what is now eastern Uttar Pradesh, particularly centering on Banaras and Ayodhya. It was from there that dancers were drawn in large numbers to Lucknow during the reign of Asaf-ud-Dawla, that is 1775 to 97. In his book Guzista Lucknow chronicle essayist and historian Abdul Halim Sharar gives rich information on Lucknow. In it, he has mentioned that in addition to Kathaks, in Lucknow there were Rahas, dancers from Mathura and Braj, that is Rasadharis who specialized in Krishna Leela, and Kashmiri Bhands. This suggests a rich melting pot of dance traditions, all competing for the patronage of the Lucknow court. And of course, the mainstay of court entertainment was the dancing girls and their accompanists who performed at all social functions. However, according to Sharar, the Kathaks were the real dancers, and he has listed the names of several individuals who became preeminent. Among these were Prakashji and his son Durga Prakashji, famed dancers of the 19th century and ancestor of Birju Maharaj. Bindadin Maharaj and his younger brother Kalka Prasad became without a doubt the most celebrated dancers of their time. Whereas their forefathers had tended to specialize in one or the other aspect of dance, Bindadin and Kalka Prasad effectively created the modern tradition of Kathak by combining and fusing all these disparate attributes into one richly varied style. Even so, Kalka Prasad was noted for his rhythmic powers, while Bindadin became famous for his poetic interpretations and compositional skills. Wajid Ali Shah himself choreographed many dances. He was so obsessed with dance that his toes would always move to rhythm. He was equally passionate about Thumri, the vocal form that he incorporated into Kathak. This called for elaborate interpretation of the poetic content, not just as a word dance association, but its meaning, direct and literal, and its metaphoric interpretation became part of the dance's special and demanding quality. In this way, the expressional aspect of Lucknow's Kathak was not just highlighted, but very well developed. Its absolute masters were the Bindadin, Achan, Shambhu, Lachu, and now Birju Maharaj. While Bindadin had no male offspring, Kalka Prasad had three sons, Achan Maharaj, Shambhu Maharaj, and Lachu Maharaj, who became the dominant forces in Kathak during the 20th century and were able to take the transition from the colonial to the post-colonial phase. It was said about Achan Maharaj that he was heavy built, but his artistry was so strong that when he sat down to do the expressions of a noble woman, he nuanced it so beautifully that apart from the look, style, even her character could be made out. Achan Maharaj was also engaged to dance in several North Indian courts before being invited to teach in the Delhi School of Hindustani Music and Dance from 1936 onwards. Lachu Maharaj spent much of his life in Bombay, creating and directing dance dramas and choreographing films. He was noted for bringing to Kathak a fragile elegance and beauty. His chals or walks were treat to watch. The micro movements of the eyes, eyebrows, wrist, fingers, and the movements of the torso and the chest were superb. The delicacy that he brought to his movements put him in a class by himself. Shambhu Maharaj, 1970, passed away, was a charismatic and flamboyant character who danced with great power and energy, but who could also bring a Thumri to an inexhaustible variety of interpretations, which he performed with the subtlest of movements from the sitting position. He enjoyed a glittering stage career and in 1952 was invited to join the Bharatiya Kala Kendra in Delhi, where he became head of the department of Kathak. It was this department that went on to evolve into Kathak Kendra, the National Institute of Kathak Dance. For the first 10 years of his life, Birju Maharaj studied with his father till his death and then with his uncles. Thus, Birju Maharaj became the epitome of all that was the finest in Kathak dance. This included the suppleness of the torso and chest, called Kasak Masak, and Kamar Ka Dora, the play of the neck, Gardan Ka Dora, the precision of footwork and the rounded fullness of the movement. From his uncle Shambhu Maharaj, he gained an understanding of the vajan or weightness of the bowls or mnemonics. This gave him a signature style of dancing the parans or composition based on the sound of the pakhavach. From his uncle Lachu Maharaj, he learned the chals and micro movements, but most importantly, it was the understanding of the stylization. This stylization became not just the signature of his present style, but he successfully transferred it onto a whole generation of dancers that he taught at Kathak Kendra at the time when it was likened to the Bolshoi of Kathak. A modern Kathak performance of Lucknow Gharana unfolds gradually through several stages, with each establishing a tempo that is increasing. This is evident by the fact that the dancer often taps out the pace for the accompanying musicians, particularly the percussionist, usually a tabla player, at regular intervals. The introduction is slow and usually consists of a vandana or invocation. Then begins the abstract pure dance pieces, Nritta, with scholar S.K. Saxena called the intra forms. They include That, when the body appears to be getting ready to enter the universe of rhythm, Amad, or the actual arrival into the universe of rhythm, and then the Tukra, Toda and Paran, which are in faster tempo. In contrast to the Jaipur Gharana, the Lucknow Gharana tends to play with the slowness of rhythm, and therefore one encounters Ati Vilambit or ultra slow space at a pace. This allows for the micro movements like the breath, the Kasak Masak etc. to be established strongly. Achan Maharaj and Shambhu Maharaj's disciple Mohan Rao Kalyanpurkar's thoughts in Ati Vilambit are legendary. The entire range of abstract intra forms successfully emphasize a wide range of techniques and variety of movements. Post Ati Vilambit and Vilambit, one comes to the Madhyalaya or the medium pace. In this segment are arranged the wide variety of Gats. These are pieces built on suggestion. The Gat Nikas are built around animal or character types, using gaits and poses, while the Gat Bhav tells a story without the use of words. The many characters in the story are played by the same person, and the characters are delineated by the use of the special paravit called Palta. In this section come the Abhinaya pieces of Tumri, Dadra or Ghazal. More recently to this musical genres, the Tarana has been added, in which both technical and expressive parts of the dance are emphasized. Since most of these compositions played with amorous emotions, a certain eroticism, delicateness and sensuousness is built into the dance. This is the Hava Bhava, Nazakat and Khubsurati of the style. Other musical forms like Hori, Trivet and Chaturang also find a place in the repertoire of the Lucknow Gharana of Kathak. The music used for the dance is classical and includes the use of a wide variety of ragas and talas that find reference in the musical text. The fast-paced tempo is usually dedicated to pure dance and elaborate and challenging footwork. It is in this section that dancers often enter into playful rhythmic competition with their tabla accompanist in the form of a jugalbandi or duet, where one initiates the other trying constantly to outguess one's opponent. The ultimate aim of the dancer is to develop creative improvisation with the accompanist, thereby directing the flow of energy so that it uplifts and improves the spellbound audience before passing back to the performance in the form of warm appreciation. To initial practitioners and viewers, the footwork of the Kathaks, with its bewildering array of permutation and combinations and of fractions and fractals, appears like a blur, but the footwork needs great practice and daily riyas. Then only can there be articulations between ka, ghi and th come out clearly. The foot combines with the ghungroos to produce different sounds as different parts of the foot contact to the ground with differing degrees of pressure. For instance, the flat footfall represents the, tig, di, while the sound, if the heel touches down, produces different sounds, and the clap of the foot produces th, and the side contact, the gi, the toes and the ball of the feet produce na. The tatkar is often carried out by hours only to sharpen the onomatopoeic quality of the footwork. It is said that Bindadin Maharaj practiced digda digdikthai for as many as 4 hours. Tatkar or straight body footwork is another aspect of the dance that is unique. It is free mixture of playing with the rhythmic space. This is called layakari. Kathak of the Lucknow Gharana has an illustrious history of this aspect as reflected in the Chaushanti Ka Baja, in which the tempo would start at 1/4 of the announced lay and then increase exceptionally, artistically and aesthetically by a notch of 1/4 till it reaches a pace of 64 times that of the starting tempo. Of course, this sounds like legends and mythology of Kathak because today no one does this, but it serves as an indication of what was once the norm in this Gharana. What a loss! Tatkar, as mentioned earlier with the rhythmic spaces, one of the features of this childlike play is the creation of pictures and images. Ladis and tihais are examples of this. The rhythm, having been internalized by the hours of practice to just the lehra, played in the plaintive sound of the sarangi, encourages the dancer to instinctively draw into audio images that the audience is compelled to see. Dancing to the lehra as against the theka or count play of the tabla allows the melodic line to seep into the mind memory of the dancer, and thereafter the chances of losing the grip of lyre are greatly reduced. This allows the dancer to dance instinctively while focusing on the interplay of the tiny micro movements. Sometimes these are executed in a fast manner and are called bedam tihais. They serve as flourishes and do not successfully paint a picture. Basically, the dance has a close equation with the bowls. These can be borrowed from tabla, as in the case of toras and tukra, or from pakhavaj, as in the case of parans. Sometimes the bowls or memnonics include the sounds of birds and elements of nature. These are a unique set of intra form called paramelu. The paramelu indicates a varieties of sounds, some of which imitate nature. For example, jhinji depicts the jingle of the ankle bells. Thorang is the rumble of the thunders. Tigda digdiktai is the strut of a peacock. However, some bowls used in Kathak are exclusively dance bowls like ta thai tat, digda digditai and such. All these bowls are the oral and memnonic language of the dance. They cast a web weaving in tal, sur, lay, vazan and chand in addition to the bowl itself. This is established by the art of padant or recitation of the bols, by which it is above mentioned features are reinforced. It especially helps the tabla accompanist to follow the bandish and understand better how to play the bols. Thus, this Gharana, that is Lucknow Gharana, has some very strong audio based features. For instance, the clarity of the footwork, the images drawn in the rhythmic spaces, the paramelu and the parans all seem to point towards the fact that this dance is as much about visual beauty as about oral purity. One of the aspects of courtly artisan was that they attempted to please. Hence, in Lucknow Kathak, there are what are known as farmaishi cheeze, or those compositions of Kathak that were popular enough that people would ask for them to be performed again and again, like we say once more. These range from particularly challenging composition on unusual tals or with many chakkars etc. to be beautiful aspects of the dance that specific dancers were famous for. Such farmaishi cheeze anticipate a close and interactive rapport between the patron and the audience. Today's large stages and distance audiences do not provide a conducive environment for them. Improvisation plays a central role in the art of Lucknow Kathak, both the pure dance or the Nritta aspect and in the storytelling aspects. In the pure dance segment, this is known as upaj or instant creativity. This was a wonderful way of challenging each other, with the challenge between the dancer and challenge between dancer and percussionist. The story of Bindadin Maharaj accepting the challenge of Pakhawajia Kuddu Singh is well known. In the case of the challenge from the percussionist, the shape taken is that of the Jugalbandi. Dancers have described this as a friendly competition. But Birju Maharaj often describes this as a sign of the love between the tabla and the ghungru, where the ghungru is the feminine principle and tabla the masculine principle. He talks about how the tabla follows the naika. The upaj creates different naikas and the tabla follows her around. In the abhinaya or storytelling aspect, the Kathak dancer captures the fleeting nature of story's emotional development. He brings it, as dancer Janki Patrick says, from inside out, through facial expressions and body gestures. Within these gestures, the most demanding aspect is what is called Baithak ka bhav or Baithe ka bhav batana. In this aspect, the dancer in a seated position with the lower part of the body neutralized by the shawl covering it often sings the words of the poem and suggests them with the torso, arms and face. As the same line gets repeated multiple times, the dancer progresses from a depiction of the meaning of each single word, bol batana, to the creation of a physical scenario and emotional landscape, bhav batana. Birju Maharaj's student Janki Patrick describes the experience such as Ghire Ghire Aaye Badare, a thumri written by Lucknow's style's greatest poet Bindadin Maharaj, provides an ideal vehicle for a Baithak performance. The simple description of a stormy night suggests an extended emotional scenario. Swirling black clouds encompass the sky with heavy rain clouds, mirroring the inner turmoil and the oppressive loneliness caused by the absence of the heroine's beloved. The fleeting thoughts and emotions of a woman in love, lonely, fearful, hopeful, joyful, are reflected in her every gesture and expression. Lonely, because her bed is empty. Fearful, that she has been abandoned. Hopeful, as she imagines the sound of approaching footsteps. Joyful, at the promise of her love's union. The heroine experiences a lifetime of complex emotions within the circumference limits of 4 lines of poetry. But Bhav Batana is also replete with sancharis. In the case of the sanchari, the thought is taken away into an abstract realm which is then explored obliquely before returning to the same point where the imagination took off. For instance, Shambhu Maharaj's enactment of Kaun Gali Gayo Sham is noteworthy, in that he depicted the word gali as being the core line of the eye. The fingers and the veins and the arteries that took the blood into and away from the heart, and also the nasal passage that allowed the perfume of the Lord to be ingested. Long hours would be spent on just one word. Similarly, Birju Maharaj would expand the word lal or red to suggest the color of blood, of pan, of rising sun, of the brighter attire, of the blood in the veins, and so on. The process of depicting red went on for long in the expression dominant style of the Lucknow Gharana. This was a fine art, greatly refined and very definitive. Thus, the Lucknow Gharana dancers are a storyteller and not a mime artist. While describing the gait of the peacock, he doesn't become peacock, but suggests it be reproducing the essence of the movement, stance and character of the animal. It is important to note that this is not enacted, it is danced. It is the very fact that what is desired is mere suggestion allows for much space to be left for the active participation of the audience. Thus, Lucknow's Kathak is highly refined and stylized art that demands much from both the artist and the audience. To conclude, I can say that the Kathak dancer is a storyteller and not a mime artist. He described the truth of a peacock, but he neither mimics nor becomes the peacock. He reproduced the essence of the movement of a character or animal, yet he neither mimics nor becomes that character or animal. He takes from each being or situation that which characterizes or symbolizes it and puts that into dance. Throughout, it is the dancer's intention to suggest rather than to make it explicit. And there is always room for active participation of imagination of the audience. The Kathak dance tradition of Lucknow is undoubtedly one of India's finest cultural achievements, and with so many outstanding exponents nationally and internationally, it will continue to tell its stories for generations to come. I hope now you understand the difference as in performing arts between miming and representing the story. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.